afternoon, Enmore Park members. I hope you're doing well and you've had a fantastic weekend. I know I've gone about the weather a lot, but it was pretty spectacular this weekend, and so hopefully you enjoyed it and had a bit of cider or something like that. Today's lockdown lesson is the start really of kind of where I want to take you guys on a kind of a bit of a journey of knowledge of what to look for and how you can start to work on your own game, because ultimately when someone comes for a lesson for me, you'll get some people who just want a quick fix, but ultimately my main aim for most people is to get them into a position where they can start to fix themselves, especially when they're playing in a round of golf. How you can, if you're hitting it badly, how you can self-diagnose and then make a quick change and hopefully then start to play better instantly. Whenever someone comes for a lesson, they will invariably want one of three things. So they'll either want to hit it more consistently, they'll either want to hit it straighter, or they'll want to hit it further. And then it's our job then to look at what they're doing with their swing and the shots they're hitting, and look at the route that we're going to go down to affect one of those three things. Now, when we're looking at someone's shots, providing they're hitting it fairly cleanly and in the air, they will have one of 9 ball flights. Now, some would argue that they'll probably get 4 or 5 of those different ball flights in a round, but most people are pretty consistent with the flight that they're getting. We always have to know exactly where we're aiming to therefore know what ball flight we're actually getting. And then once we kind of establish what the ball flight is, we'll look at what we call the 5 ball flight laws, and those are absolutes. So if you're hitting a draw, for us, providing you're hitting it out the middle of the club face, the path and the club face will be in a certain position, and that won't change. I'll quickly just go through those ball flight laws, and I'll talk about the 2 main ones that are to do with the direction. So the first one is the strike. Are you hitting it cleanly out of the middle of the club face? If you hit it out of the toe end of the club, so the toe end of the club or the heel, that will affect your distance and your direction, and obviously your consistency. The second one then is, where is the club face positioned? So it's face orientation as you strike the ball. So if you notice that this bit of straw is pointing right at you, so if you hit it in that position, the ball will fly straight. If it's closed, the ball will start left, and if it's open, the ball will start right. Okay. The third one is the path. So what direction is the whole club head swinging in? Is it coming from the inside, the outside, or down the line? The fourth one is the angle of attack. So that is simply how much are we hitting down or how much are we hitting up on the ball. Okay. And then the last one is the speed. So how fast is this thing moving as you strike the ball? That's the biggest determiner on your distance. Okay. The 2 I'm going to look at right now is, where is the face position at impact and what is the path? Okay, because they're the 2 big ones on direction. The biggest one on your initial direction, so whenever you have picked your target, your first kind of 30-40 yards will be determined on where this is pointing as you hit the ball. Okay, so is it pointing left, or is it pointing to the right, or is it pointing at the target? And then the reason you get curve on the ball, so if you hit a draw or a fade, will be because there's a difference between what the whole club head is doing and where the face is. So I'm just going to move you down here, hopefully get you in the right position. Okay, so this red rod here is basically where we want the ball to finish. This would be where the flag is effectively. Okay, so if I swing this club down the line, okay, and as I hit the ball, the club face, which is represented with the straw, is pointing down that line, that ball is going to fly straight. Now, if I get the club face coming in open, the ball will start right, okay, for a right-handed golfer. And if it comes in closed, the ball is going to start left. So that's your initial starting direction. I'm just going to bring in a blue rod. So this is representing our path, okay? So if I'm stood here and I'm hitting the ball this way, towards my feet is the inside, this is the outside. And that's what we're looking at, the path. Is the club coming from the inside, okay, so tracing this blue line, or is it coming from the outside, so out to in as it hits the ball? Now, because we're stood to the side of the ball, everyone in theory should be slinging slightly from the inside as it meets the ball and then back in again. That's kind of the perfect scenario. But you'll get players who are one way or the other. So let's look at the draw first. So, if I get the whole club head, the path swinging from the inside, okay, and the club face is matching that blue line at impact, that ball is going to fly straight to the right. So to create a draw, I need the face to be pointing slightly left of this as I hit the ball. So as I come from the inside, the club face is pointing slightly left. Hopefully you can see that. So that ball is now going to start somewhere in between the blue rod and the red rod. So the blue rod is my path, the red rod is the target line. So the ball will start off somewhere in between. Now, because the path and the face are not going in a straight line, that's where we will start to see curvature and we'll start to see a draw. Now, what I would say to play what we call a functional draw, so a draw that finishes on the target, this club face has to be between the two path and target, okay? Because if I had it in this position where it's pointing at the target, so if I swing it in here and it's pointing at the target, because I've said to you the face is what dictates the initial starting line, that ball will start pretty much on that target line and then it will start to curve left, so we'll actually finish left of target. So it's a little bit confusing to get your head round, okay? But just know, to create a draw effectively, to get the ball to curve to the left, should I say, the club face should be slightly left of the path that it's swinging on, okay? So slightly left. And then it's the opposite for a fade. So my path is coming this way. Now if my club face is matching that at the same time, the ball will fly straight left, okay? So that's going to fly dead straight left. So to hit a fade, that club face now needs to be slightly open as I approach the ball. And therefore we would start to see it curve to the right. If you can get the face somewhere in between the two, then it should finish closer to the target. If it's more in this position, then the ball is going to start right and curve even further right. So basically, the bigger the difference there is between the path and the club face, the bigger the curvature, the more friction we get on the ball and the bigger the curvature, okay? So if you're someone who curves the ball quite a lot, initially I would say to you we would need to reduce that. So we'd want to get the club face matching the path initially, okay? So let's say you're a big slicer, so you come across the ball out to in like this, and you've got the club face massively open, off it goes to the right, big curve. I would say, right, we would need to work on reducing this down a little bit as well, and at the same time trying to square the path up to therefore produce a straighter ball flight, okay? So club face is the initial starting line, and then your path is what creates the curvature. So if the two are not going in the same direction, that's when we start to create curvature, okay? Fade is this way, draw is in this way, in 2 out, okay? And you can do this with putting as well. So you can simply do it, and to see the effect of it, so if you shut the club face and just hit a putt down a straight line, that ball will start left. If you open up the club face and putt down the line, the ball will start right. So that's the biggest determiner in the initial direction, okay? Start with small shots and see how that face manipulates the start line, and then work on going right. So with a putter, I'll actually close the club face and swing it in this way, which you think the ball should start right, but because the club face is pointing left, the ball will start left still, okay? Likewise, if I open it enough and I come this way, you think the ball will start left, but actually the club face is pointing to the right, so the ball will still start to the right. So those two are the biggest determiners on your direction. Club face, its initial start line. Path is what creates the curvature. Bearing in mind we've got to strike it somewhat out the middle of the club face. If we start hitting out the toe of or the heel, those can be a bit kind of skew whiff to a certain extent. In the next one we'll look at how we can affect those. We'll also look at one of the other ball flight laws as well. So we're going to start to go through the shots that you're seeing and how the club face is interacting with the ball to create those shots. It's a lot to take in. I really appreciate that. So if you have any questions, please email me. And I would probably watch it over and over again, and just as I said, start with some small shots to go with and kind of see the effect of the club face, because that's your biggest one on your starting line first, and the path is what creates the curvature. Let me know how you get on. It's quite a long video. Go through it a few times, and I will see you soon.